Hello, folks. My name is Detroit Miracle, and I'd like to welcome you all to my story called Lust and Peace in the Afterlife, Part 2. Okay, so Claire grabs his hand and presses a button on her computer watch, and they end up in a room with a computer lab and large viewer screen. Claire then says, as part of many of your rewards, you'll get 72 virgin women and your wife, Mena, if you want. Claire says, oh, you can just choose your one and only wife before you make that choice. Let me show you a fine selection of women. After all, you've earned it. So Claire pushes a computer button and then women start to appear on the screen. The screen then splits into many to show even more beautiful women, and the women are naked. Trobo starts to get an erection. Claire smiles because he likes them, even though he loves his wife. Well, what is your decision? He says, I want my wife, but they are nice to look at. Claire says, so is it yes or no, maybe? He says, I'll choose my wife and the 72 women, but I'll only touch my wife. Claire smiles and says, it is done. So you choose your 72 women and your wife. So they will await you when it is time. So Trobo chooses black women, white women, Islamic women, Asian women, Hispanic women, and etc. Claire knows he will give in to these women eventually. His passions for them are already increasing. If Trobo would have only chosen his wife, Claire would have taken him to her immediately. Both Trobo and Mena would have been together then and happily ever after. It seems his choices are finished, so Claire says, let's go. I'll now get you better acquainted with your new afterlife. Now they leave out of the room, heading down the white hallway, and arrive at a gem glass city that hovers above the sky. Claire says, let's go on a tour of your new home. She says, type in hover float in your watch's screen. The buttons are touch tone. The screen is oval round shape. The band fits all sizes, rubber banded, of course. So Trobo types in hover float and his guide does so too, and then two round floating chrome plates appear beneath their feet. Both of them ascend to the Islamic heavenly plane. Claire is now giving him a guided tour as they fly amongst it. This blissful region appears to be man controlled. They start east and see a shiny giant white onyx stone as they pass. This stone has a waterfall that free flows liquid gold or honey into a river. As they travel past white gold palm trees, both see many colors, crystal glass metropolis. The buildings sparkle many colors like red, orange, gold, green, blue, lavender, pink, and etc. Trovo arrives at the tall buildings that have at least 72 floors. Each floor in a building has a penthouse on every floor, being one for every concubine wife. Every guy here gets his own building, which has a statue of the guy in front of each one next to a male lion statue. Both statues for each guy or each guys are done in glass crystal. Trobo and Claire are flying over the buildings, and each one has a resort theme in the back of them. Trobel certainly sees that the buildings have swimming pools, which are shaped round, oval, pyramid, square, etc. Pools here have different colored clear waters connecting to hot tubs. As Trobel and Claire head furthest west, she tells him to descend a little lower. Wow, he sees men walking around wearing fine robes of silk, and some of the men do have their female concubines with them. Many of the resident men look up. They know a guide is showing a new arrival around because they know what the guides wear. Now, Claire and Trobel move on. Trobel looks into some of the windows. As he does, he sees women walking around nude or wearing silk robes. The guide then tells him to be careful. Covet not your neighbor's wives, just those of your own. And by the way, many of the buildings might seem a little odd in shape. Trobel points at a square building with a shiny chrome pyramid on top of it. And he sees another building with 72 circular floors with a 4-point chrome stilt as its brace. Trobel certainly says wow at the low oval-shaped red crystal color forum building that has a spinning mirror, Rubik's Cube stilted on top of it. The men gather in there for men's meetings. There are also thousands of seats inside. Now Trobel asks Claire, where does God live? So Claire says he lives furthest up and beyond, but he does appear here. Claire now tells Trobel about the prayer times as they fly. She says, Brother Trobel, there are 2 prayer times each day. One is in the morning, the other is at night. Both praise times last only a couple of minutes each. Trobel then asks, how does the process start? So she says, your watch will alert you when your prayer time's near. Then you'll program a hover float plate big enough for 73 people to stand on. This will happen in front of your building as well as with everyone else's buildings. Claire says, night and day you'll make the float and everyone gets on. A jewel gate rail will form around your float, says Claire, in case those want to hold on to it. Next, all of Islamic heaven's multitude appear together in the sky. It will take place furthest up beyond this region, says Claire. Then God appears and everyone kneels. Muhammad will also be on the same plate as Allah, your God, and he is knelt before him as well. All of you then must say, Allah, our Lord, is great and rewarding, and a sparkling energy display comes. After the prayer session, says Claire, all can return where they like. They are just about at the west end of the city. Claire reminds Trobel that he could use his watch to create a hologram image of the heaven city, which hangs 3 inches above the watch's screen. As they reach the west end of the city, Trobel sees a shiny black onyx mountain rock. This mountain free flows milk over it into a milk river. Trobel has seen many things through his tour, including exotic color palm trees, soft colored granite marble streets, and roads that connect trailways throughout the city where people can travel in an orderly fashion, and they have the option of using air flight with their hover floats. Claire asked, did you enjoy your tour? Troble answers, yes, I did. Then let's start our way to your new residence, said Claire. So both of them start their way to a 72 penthouse floors with a 4 points diamond tray stilt. Okay, folks. Hope you enjoyed that.